Unity and support are crucial because they amplify our collective strength, allowing us to achieve what is impossible alone. When we work together, we create a supportive environment that helps us overcome challenges and achieve common goals, fostering progress and a better future for all.
Welcome to our table for you. This is a space where we talk life, business, and all things in between. And today we have a special guest for you. Yes, we have author and entrepreneur Vandella Wells, and she is making waves in her industry. She's out speaking and talking about her book, Unfinished Business, and her new book, After the Pain Birth Purpose. She is speaking all across the nation, and I am so excited that we have her here today.
Yeah, today we're going to be diving into a conversation, basically how women overcome trauma, how to turn setbacks into comebacks.
Yes, so grab your seat and lean in because this one's going to be good. Vandella, welcome to A Table for You, and we're so glad you're here today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here as well.
Great.
All right, so we're going to get started. Vandana, as Jack said, we're glad to have you here. We're just going to talk about some things that people have asked us about in business and how some people have overcome. They want to hear your story. So to get started, I'm going to ask you, can you take us back to the moment or the season in your life when everything changed for you? Tell us what happened.
Okay, yes. I can remember it was like 10 years ago when I was when everything my whole life was like it just turned upside down. When I was married at that time for 18 years, and when my ex-husband came and told me that he's not happy, he's wanna, he wanna a divorce. And then it kind of like turned my, I didn't know what was going on. So it's kind of like turned my world upside down. I'm like, well, what's going on? I'm like, I'm living for God, loving God. And I didn't know what happened to. I found out, during that time, he had a whole nother family with children and everything else. So that really, that right there tore me apart. It's like I thought my world was just, it was destroyed. That was it. It was over with. And that's when it began, my that trauma.
Oh, I can imagine that is something to find out that your husband, not only is he saying all of a sudden he wants a divorce, but that he has an entire family on the side. Tell me, what was the most difficult part of that experience for you, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually?
Emotionally, it was my emotion was because I never had dealt with that. So of course, my emotion was all over the place. I had I was angry, bitter, upset, disappointment. It was so many emotional I was dealing with, going through, and of course, it affected my spiritual walk because it really shook my faith. And I'm like, I've been in God for years, and for something like that, I never expected. It shook my faith real bad. So it put me in a dark place. That's what it did. It took me in a dark place. So it kind of like shook my faith, shook my emotional, and just everything in life. It seemed like that was it. That was the end. I thought.
Right, right.
Yeah, I know that Jack and I were just going over some things like that this morning, our devotion. And one of the things that I told her, I said, during that time, I felt alone. I didn't feel supported at all. I felt like I needed help. For you, did you feel supported during that time? If you didn't, what was missing that you really needed?
Well, I did have. I know one thing about I had a strong support system. My children, they just because they never see me like that, so they always see me as a strong mom, a strong praying mama. That's all they ever knew. For them to see the superwoman bleed for the first time, as they want to say, it kind of shook them. So they was always checking on me, making sure I'm okay. Then I had a strong support with my sisters in the church and everything, but mentally they really couldn't help me because they never went through that. So when you're dealing with something that traumatic, you have to went through that before to know how to minister to that person, to minister them back. And but they did the best they can for hours. I got my sister, her name Albright from Georgia. She was on the phone with me for hours and hours, all time of mornings. And that really helped me. All I needed just something to vent, somebody to vent to. where they can just hear me.
That is so true that sometimes we just need just someone to listen. A lot of times people think that when they're there for someone, they have to talk and insert their opinions. We also talked about that this morning, talking about Job, where people always want to insert their opinion and their view of what you probably did wrong in a
Right.
situation. But I'm happy that you did have that support. Was there a moment for you when you realized that you couldn't stay there? I have to move forward. I have to heal. What sparked that shift?
Well, it took years because you're talking about working in the ministry, just to say that my husband was a pastor at that time. So I was a first lady. So that really took a big toll on me. So you're talking about going to church and still going to church and still trying to keep the faith. And you're like, but you're not okay. You're not
Mm,
okay. Mentally, you're not okay. Physically, you're moving, but mentally, you're not okay. Spiritually, you're not okay. So for years, I had to, step down. I had to move and I had to leave where I was at the time to go to a place of hiding because I felt like I was, like Andrew said, alone. I felt like I was all by myself going through this. And now, like I said before, I've never been through that. So it was something new to me. I didn't know how to feel, but I was going through all the time. Just every time I talk about it, I cry. I cry. It just made me cry. And it's for years, it took me a while till finally I said, I'm never gonna get anywhere. I'm never if I don't heal, because I didn't want to forgive. I didn't want to forgive. So I said I had to forgive. That was the first step. In order for me to forgive, then that's when my healing gonna begin. So I
mm,
finally, after years of going on, I finally said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being stuck. I'm tired of crying. Over this year. It's done, it's over with. I want to move forward. So I finally had to, it was COVID-19 really what made me really move forward in a lot of things. And that's when my healing really, really began. And so I
okay.
had to get out of that. I had to get, I had to I was stuck. So I had to get unstuck. I had to get healed. And then I had to move forward. In order for me to be used, what God got in my life, I had to be healed first. I can't be move forward and not heal. So that was the
Mm.
first step. Forgiveness, healing, and then I had to move forward.
I like how, because I was going to ask you that, what did your healing process look like? And that you said part of that healing process for you was forgiving, what had happened to you.
Yeah.
So what did it not look like when you healed and you said that you got to the place of forgiveness? Did you shift how you interacted with people? Did you like what changed? What did you stop doing that you were doing when you were in hiding? Because you say you began to isolate. What
Yeah.
did you start to do different?
I started not talking about the hurt and the pain because I used to talk about what he did to me, how he did, and
Mhm,
every time I talk about it, it kept opening up the wound. I kept,
mhm,
I heard it out. Then I started bleeding on other people and telling them how I feel and this shouldn't happen to me. So when I got started getting healed, my story changed. I just started talking about, now where I'm at now, what God doing in my life, and started what made me start changing my talk is when I start working in ministry. I start moving. I start using the gift that God gave me, and when I start doing that, I start changing my conversation changed. It was no longer what He did to me. It's now what I can do for myself from this and move forward. How can I move forward? How can I do the things God got for me to do? How can I help other women not to be a victim this long if they are going through it, not to linger that long as I did? So it started me wanting to help others to overcome, whatever their trials and tribulation that they went through. So I
right.
started talking different.
I like that. And when you say you wanted to start helping women not linger that long, what does that mean? Can you unpack that for me a little?
Yes, it took me almost about 6 years to really get not no 5 years to because it was COVID when it happened when I started getting healed. COVID-19 that it took me that long to get healed to realize say okay I don't want to stay here no more.
Mm,
When you're going through something you shouldn't it's okay to go
oh,
through the emotional. It's okay to be angry and going through the healing process, but you don't want
right.
to stay too long.
I understand now.
Yeah, you don't want to stay too long. And
I
that's
like
like,
that.
yeah.
I like that. And that's so true because how you even brought up about every time you told your story, you were reliving that moment, you were reliving that pain, and you were allowing yourself to stay in that place. And that was one of the things I talked about recently about having that root of bitterness. In order to get rid of the root of something, you have to cut it down. And the way to do that is to not continue to tell that same story, to not continue to live that pain, at least from that place. Now, when you're telling the story, as you're going around the country telling your story, and you're even going to England next year, right? So just telling her story all over the world, and it's not from a place of pain anymore. It's from a place of purpose, as you titled the
Yes.
book. I really like that.
One of
Yes.
the things, Vandella, I was thinking about as you were speaking, I know a lot of time when I share with people and I talk to them about their circumstances, there are beliefs, habits, even people, relationships that they have that sometimes they got to get rid of those things in order to heal. Did you have that experience? Is there any people, beliefs, or even relationships that you had to get rid of?
Yes, it is because one of it I had to because when I was this is how I felt. This is how I felt when I was when you're hurting and you're going through something, you don't think straight. You don't think much as I love God, know God, but I still was working out of disobedient because I felt like at that time I felt like God let me down. And I'm like, God, I'm serving you, I'm doing everything, and I felt like he just let me down, which he didn't, but that's how I felt. So I started doing things out of character. I
Mm,
started hanging around people. I was with this guy, stayed with this guy for a whole year, which I know that wasn't of God. And but I was going through in pain and I wanted to get relief. And when I started to realize I can't do this anymore, this is not me, this is not what God wants me, I had to let go. I had to get out of it, I had to let it go. Anything that's going to come and try to turn me back around or turn me to where out of my character, I had to let them go. I had to let people go. So
mm.
and that's what helped me too to heal better when I allow myself to let things go that I know was harming me. It wasn't helping me, but it was harming me. So I had to realize to let it go in order to heal completely.
You are bringing up some awesome and amazing points to me that are even brought up in my new book, Unstoppable. One of the things you just brought up was talking about letting it go. That is one of the hardest things for so many people to do. How
Mhm.
do you think it was easy for you to let go of that relationship that you're talking about that you had for that year when inside you feel like you're still missing something or needing something?
It was hard. It was hard. It was very hard. But as a woman of God, I continue praying, continue going to church, hearing the word, and after a while, it finally sunk in me that I had to. If not,
Mm,
I'm gonna continue staying there dying. I'm
mm,
continuing my spiritual walk going to continue dying.
mhm.
Me physically, everything about me was going to continue dying if I didn't let it go. It wasn't easy because at that point, he was like my Superman. He the one who helped me to get over, not over, but kind of like ease that. You know how you put the bandage over the wound, but it's not healed, but you just put the bandage over the wound.
Right.
So that was that person put the bandage over the wound. Why, it made me feel better at that time. So for
Mm.
me to let that go, it was very hard. But I had to for my mental health. I had to for my spiritual health. I had to for my physical health. And for me to move forward, to be the woman that God called me to be, I had to let it go. It wasn't easy, but it was something I had to do.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. And it sounds like through the death of those relationships and the death of those things, you were able to truly now walk in your purpose. And I
Yes.
think that's such a beautiful thing that a lot of times we don't realize that part of letting things go means dying to old versions of ourselves, dying to old thought processes that we used to have, dying to those needs sometimes that may arise that may not be beneficial to us. I'm wondering though, as you began to let things go and die to yourself, I know you talked about ministering and going through ministry. What kind of tools or practices, or even people probably played a key role in that healing journey? I know you mentioned Albright up in Georgia,
Mhm.
but what did that look like as you began to heal?
As I began to heal, I even had some people with even though we're going through with, like I said, Sister Albright, she was there hear, listen to me. My children was always checking on me. And you got Lee out there. I want to leave her out because she just told me the truth. She said, well, man, I've never been through that. I can't relate to it, but I'm gonna just be here when you need somebody to cry. I'm gonna be here. She cried with me. She cried with me, sincerely cried with me, and she heard me out. So that helped me along the way. Then I had people that told me, which was something I needed to hear. I didn't want to hear at that time, but I appreciate it now. When they told me, said, you know what, Van, you got to stop. You bleeding on everybody. I'm like, no,
Mm.
I'm not. No, I'm not. They said, because when you tell your story, like I said, I was telling out of hurt. So and I didn't realize I was bleeding on other people, making
Wow.
other people like feel bad about me or hateful with him. So I'm
Right.
like, and when I had to hear that, I need to hear that truth to come out of that. So I'm like, what you mean? I'm not bleeding on, but I'm just telling my story. It ain't right. And he said, no, you're hurt. Hurt people hurt others. I'm like, what? So I had to have people in my life telling me the truth. Say, okay, now it's time to get up. It's time to stop that. It's time to get back where you need to be at. So even though I'm like, you don't see me sorry, you don't see me going through. It's been years now. So it's time to get out of that. So that I had to have that as well.
I love that. And it's often hard to hear the truth
Mhm.
when you are hurting and when you are going through and when you do feel wronged. We feel like we want everybody to hear it. We want everybody to know it. We want people to jump in on the bandwagon. We want you to be angry with them for us. Like all of these things we want in order for us to feel justified. But in
Mhm.
truth, that pain is yours. And
Yeah.
no one can ever know the depth of your sorrow. And so, as we heal and go through, I think one of the things for me that I like is journaling. And that's often the thing for me that I use to help, a tool I use to help heal as I go through my processes sometime of healing through different tragedies and trauma or traumatic events that may happen. And I just, want to encourage everyone listening that whatever the tool is that you need to use your tool. And we're just hoping that through this story, through the stories that we share, that you will also be able to see yourself and to be able to find a way out from being stuck so that you can go to your purpose after the pain, so that you can be unstuck and become unstoppable. These are just things that and tools that we're wanting to implement and share so that we can help everyone or at least as many people as we can.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Vandell, I have another question for you. Today we were talking about Joseph from the Bible and how, here's a kid basically who have issues with his brother. They were jealous. They threw him in a pit. Then they sold him to slavery. Things got a little better. He ended up, Potiphar's house, and then the wife approached him. He said, "I'm gonna do the right thing," and say no. And they ended up put back in jail. But all of these things help to shape him. All of these
Right.
things throughout the years helped him to look differently in the world, right? So all these issues helped to shape who he became. So let me ask you, as you've gone through these different things, how has these experiences helped to shape the woman you are today, how you show up in the world today?
Oh wow. I thought it when it first happened, of course, I thought it was gonna kill me. But really, actually, that I looked at it, I said that betrayed really actually pushed me to my purpose. It really shaped me into being the woman that God already had in me. But as me being I was because I always got, he gave me gift. He gave well, you born with a gift. And I never wanted to use it because I always hid behind my ex-husband. Because like I said, he was a pastor. I was the first lady, so I hid behind him. So a lot of gift that I want to do, I just said, well, I ain't gonna worry about it. I just let it die. But not actuality, it really, when I went through that, it shaped me to my gift that I already had start coming out. I start operating. It started making me to be the woman that I am now, to minister to other people, to tell them about being transparent about my story, about how I overcame. So it helps me into, that's how my book started. My book started when he walked out the door. God gave me this book, to write, told me to start writing 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, God, don't you see me hurting? Don't you see me pain? I'm going through. I feel like I'm at the end of the world. But that's when my journey started. He told me to start writing about my life. I didn't know it was going to become this, like a book. and then teaching other people and telling other people about their journey. I didn't know it was going to become that, but this is what all that pain and stuff I went through, it shaped me into be doing the things that I'm doing now. My gift of sewing, seamstress, I always did that, but it was laying, low. I wasn't using it. I wasn't using none of my gift. Like I said, I was hiding behind him. So God
Right.
allowed me to come from behind, from the back scene into the front scene to do what He wanted, to use the gift and talents that He have given me to share with the world, to share with other women, to help other women.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And it sounds like you're in a place now of peace.
Yes.
So, what does that peace and freedom look like for you now?
Oh wow, wonderful, wonderful. I don't have to worry about because like I said, unforgiveness. That's something hard. That it brings on sickness. It brings on a lot of stuff. I don't have to worry about. I know I forgive. I see them right now. I speak to them. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm happy. And I'm gonna say peace. I'm gonna say when you have forgiveness, it give you peace. It give you able to be around anybody. You're able to talk about your story and just share it and just smile. It's just so much with peace. You don't have to be worried about at night, trouble, or it's just so much. It's nothing like peace, a peace of
Okay.
mind.
Would you say you sleep better at night?
Yes. Because before I wasn't, I was like, I felt like my heart was about to have a heart attack. When you're going through stuff like that, you have sleepless night because you're feeling like
Mhm.
my heart was hurting all the time. And I
Right.
felt like, and I was. And one time it's in my book too. I started going to the doctor because I thought I was having a heart trouble. I thought something was going on with my heart. They don't did heart exam. I don't went to the hospital so many numerous of times. They said, Miss Van, at that time it was Peter, Miss Peters, nothing wrong with your heart. But it didn't seem like that. It felt like it was. I mean, all kind of stuff. They ran tests. They could never find nothing. But I felt
Right.
like I'm having a heart attack, but I wasn't. Well, that's
Right.
what when you don't have peace. That's what happened.
And then I just want to go back, just one more big thing. You
Mhm.
said that you were able to sleep better once you forgave. I think that's probably one of the biggest areas that we, not only as women, but as people in general, one of the issues that we have. And so, how, if you could leave like a thought with people on like probably the top two things you did to help you forgive, can you share that?
Yes. The one thing I had to pray. I prayed for you. I said, God, help me because I couldn't do it on my own. My thing, because when he first asked me when it first happened, he said, "Can you forgive me?" I said no. Because you know why? I wanted to hold on to that because I felt like if I hold on to not forgiving him, he gonna feel bad. And that like a piece of me got a little uppercut. That's what I felt. Like I got a little uppercut now because I ain't forgave him. So he's feeling bad. So,
I
but
love
really, I was actually hurting myself.
mm,
And when I had to say, well, you know what? I've got to forgive. So I had to pray. And once I started praying, I really don't really realize when it happened. But all I know was I felt peace came over me. I felt like now I could tell my story with that. And I looked, I said, "Ooh, I'm telling this story and I'm not crying. I'm not being emotional. Wow." Then I started realizing that, okay, I don't forgave. So, and I'm
right,
like, man, asking God to help me to forgive because one thing about I want to go to heaven, I know God forgave me, so I got to forgive in order, and because it's going to help me. It's not for him. It was for me. I had to
right.
forgive for me. And I'm like, okay, God, if I want to do the things that you got in my heart to do, I gotta forgive. I can't do it
Yes.
with unforgiveness. And so that helps me. Praying, staying in God's face, and that helps me to, and because I really wanted to forgive, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to let that go. That was so hard. I said, Lord, that was a hard pill that it shook my whole faith. I've been saved for years and nothing never shook my faith like that. And that was
Mm,
real hard. So I had to ask him to help me to forgive because I wanted to, but I didn't know how to.
I
And
like that.
so,
Okay. Well, let me ask you, speaking to us, but speaking to the people who are watching this right now,
mhm,
who are going through things, they've been in the shoes you were once in. They were where you were. What
mhm.
advice would you give them? To summarize, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them they should do?
I would tell them to first of all, I know first of all to ask God to give you, if you haven't forgave, ask God to forgive you. You have to let it go. You have to get peace, find peace, and the only way you will, you have to let it go. I know it hurts, and I know it's something hard that you feeling it. You're feeling the pain, but you have to let it go, because in order for God to do a work in your life, you can't do it with unforgiveness. You can't do it with that. So I would tell them to let it go, pray about it, seek God. It ain't gonna be overnight, I know, but you're gonna have to stay in constant prayer, asking God to help you, like I did, to learn how to teach you how to let go, teach you how to forgive. I would tell them you gotta, because it's for you, it's not for that person. In order for it, I would tell them just learn how to forgive, let it go. You got to move forward. You can't stay stuck in that spot. If you do, you'll never get all the full benefit of what God got for your life. You'll never get it if you stay right there. You got to move from that spot. So I would tell them, move. You got to move. So move forward. God don't move backwards. He move forward. So I would tell them to just keep moving forward. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't quit. Because if you do, you don't, then God's going to bring you out and deliver you and heal you and restore you and bring all the stuff that the enemy stole from you 100-fold if you stay like I did, if you don't give up. So that's what I tell them. Don't give up.
I love that. That is some awesome advice. So there you go, folks. You've heard it from author Vandella Wells. In order to move forward into your purpose, from pain to purpose, you forgive, you let it go, you don't give up, you pray, you seek God's face, and you continue to move forward. I thank you so much, Vandella, for joining us today. And please share with the people how they can follow you or stay in touch.
I have so I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. You can follow me. You can just put my name in, Vandella Wells. That's my regular page. Then I have a Facebook page for author Vandella Wells. I also have a Facebook page for my seamstress. It's called Simple Della's Fashion. That's on Facebook as well. Simply Della's Fashion. I also have TikTok. It is at Vandella57. I TikTok page. I also have an Instagram. My Instagram is Simply Della's Fashion. That's my Instagram. And I have an online store, Simply Della's Fashion.bigcarter.com. So, and I have a YouTube. Yes, I have a YouTube. That is also is my service that God gave me about a year ago, Della's Consult Service. So that is on YouTube. So different ways you can get in touch with me.
And the women's ministry, the
Oh
Facebook.
yes, thank you. I was birthed out of this too. So
Yeah.
yeah, also on Facebook, I have a lot of different pages on Facebook. I also have a women ministry on Facebook. It's called From Hurt to Healing, Just a Coffee Break Away. And y'all, that coffee break away, that's another story. How that became that name. So yes, you can follow me there.
Great. Thank you so much. And we will have Vandella's information and we will link it at the bottom of the screen. So we hope you enjoyed this interview with author Vandella Wells. You will be able to stay in contact. Please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll see her contact information below. And until next time, thank you for having a seat at our table.